We are starting with the so-called lost generation. That is the record number of jobless young people who are claiming benefits. Alan Milburn, a former Labour minister, says the education, health and welfare systems are no longer fit for purpose in preparing young people for adult life, warning that 1 in 6 aged 16 to 24 will not be in education, employment or training within 5 years unless urgent action is taken. He says that these young people are not a work-shy generation, but a generation that is trying. Jane, that work-shy tag gets kind of thrown around, and Alan Milburn is obviously trying to sort of change that narrative. Where do you land on this one?
I mean, listen, there's always going to be some that are work-shy in any generation, right? But I think mostly I feel really sorry for young people today. I think it's incredibly hard to get a job, to get yourself on the ladder, and that's for a variety of reasons. So obviously AI, we know lots of reports saying that AI is taking a lot of entry-level jobs. A lot of them, when they apply for jobs, the initial letters are screened by AI. So they're literally sending off hundreds of applications and they're not even getting to speak to a human before they get rejected. I think it's easier to get onto benefits now for mental health issues, and I think, you know, there are a lot of people with mental health issues who absolutely need to be at home and supported. There's another load, I think, that actually it would be better for your mental health if you were helped into work.
Well, I think Alan Milburn actually did also say in his comments that this is a more anxious generation, as a fact. He wasn't saying that as an element of judgment. It was just a fact.
Yeah, oh no, the research shows that. Yes. And there's a lot of, you know, reasons for that.
So what contributes to that? Why do we have a more anxious generation?
Social media. For sure, 100%, absolutely. But listen, it's also, sorry, just to finish, it's expensive for employers to employ young people now. So it costs nearly £20,000 to hire an 18 to 20-year-old now full-time on the minimum wage. So you'd probably opt for somebody older, right? You wouldn't take the risk of a younger person that you've got to also train on the job. That's another factor. And a very interesting report today, which I did not know and I am shocked by, is youth unemployment is fueled by soaring non-EU immigration. So it's saying here 27 migrants from outside the EU are hired for every British youngster. That is astonishing. That's the Centre for Social Justice. It's their research. Right. I presume that maybe a lot of them are not being hired within the system, so they're cheaper. I don't know. Maybe they've got a better work ethic. Who knows? But that is a shocking figure.
So clearly lots of obstacles to young people. I mean, my kids are 23 and 19. You've got young kids who are sort of on the cusp of employment. I mean, how are you feeling about it, Mylene?
I think it's a really tricky predicament, and it is really difficult to be a young person trying to enter the workforce now. I was having this conversation with my daughter who's just trying to find a summer job, and she's got great qualifications, but there aren't as many jobs available. And also, we have not necessarily prepared children for a landscape that they recognise. You know, we're trying to get them into positions of work where some of the transferable skills just they're not working right now. So what might have been taught at school doesn't translate in the work arena. If you couple that with...
So what kind of thing do you mean?
Well, the way that certain occupations are vetoed, as you mentioned, and the preparation that you require. There's just so many different jobs now that require different degrees of education, and I do feel for these kids. I mentor at my old school, which is a state school in Great Yarmouth in Norfolk. Honestly, it's not even about grades at this stage. It's just about either keeping them in school and in some really desperate cases, keeping them alive. So I think we can get caught in a bubble.
That was lockdown, of course, I think.
Well, I do wonder about that. Yeah.
Hugely. You know, there was a time and place where children turned up and sat face-to-face communication with their peers, with their teachers, engaging. And then suddenly it was screen time. And most children felt self-conscious about even having their camera on. So there was just this empty vacuum And so many children got lost in that system, weren't able to even sit exams and had to get sort of pre-existing marks from teachers. So I think that has really contributed. And the fact that they're not teaching at school, in a lot of schools, those soft skills, those communication skills, whether it's on the telephone, face-to-face, communication, collaboration, it's all about just learn for the exam. I think that
I think that's a really good point, and that is not particularly, it's something that some schools do. So there's a really good article in the Daily Mail today about the David Nieper Academy in Derbyshire, and it's from an area that has, you know, a low household income compared to many parts of the country, etc. And not a single young person that's come out of there is unemployed, and it is because they teach work ethos, punctuality, politeness, self-presentation, confidence and teamwork.
That's the basics, the collaboration.
And these are kind of universal qualities that have been needed for generations. And I mean, I don't want to go back to the past because it's a very different, world that we live in now. But in the days that you would have a paper round, that you would do stacking shelves in a supermarket, it was kind of routine to work from the age of 14. That has gone for a whole variety of reasons. So we are going to have to help young people. And I think that the judgment in, are they work shy, are they this, are they anxious, that's not going to get any of us anywhere. Because you said this morning, Jane, this is a new generation of taxpayers. We need these young people for their own sakes to thrive and have a rewarding life, but also for all of our sakes, because we need the economy to thrive.
Yeah. I mean, this same piece, it says, I don't know, it said something about one person that's out of work, a young person that's out of work, costs about £1 million.
Yeah. Yeah. The one thing I certainly hope is that the various political parties...
In a lifetime, obviously.
Yeah, but don't use this as an opportunity just to take pot shots at each other.
It's a cross-party situation. It's
absolutely. I mean, it is a major issue and they need to kind of work together on this rather than, using it as political opportunism. Yeah.